Good morning or good evening, depending on what time you're listening to um, this audio. The readings for this week cover the introduction to MarketShare, the simulation that we will be working on for the remainder of the quarter, as well as an overview or a review for many of you of basic marketing concepts. I've included a summary of most of what you've read in this PowerPoint deck, so I won't go through every slide in the PowerPoint deck, but I just wanted to review a couple of concepts. Before we begin, remember that for this week, you should register for the MarketShare simulation. I've noticed that many of you, a good number of you, have already registered and paid for the simulation. If you have not done so, please plan to do so this week. You should also read the MarketShare case, which is online on Blackboard under the MarketShare link. And it is there in the first section of the MarketShare student manual, the readings on exploring marketing, which will provide you with an overview of most of the concepts you're probably already familiar with. So in the MarketShare student manual, read section 1, exploring marketing, and also read the MarketShare case, which describes what you'll be working on in the MarketShare simulation. After you've read the MarketShare case, you should go to Interpretive's site at www.interpretive.com and complete the MarketShare quiz. Okay? And then you should read the MarketShare case prep, which is a PDF file you will also find on Blackboard, which has a list of questions that will help you think about you and your team's plan and your strategy before we launch the MarketShare simulation. Okay, so for this week, I would like you to register and pay for the MarketShare simulation, read the MarketShare case, complete the MarketShare quiz, and come to class prepared to discuss the questions from the MarketShare case prep. All of this information is also on Blackboard's assignment link. Okay? Now, as I said, I'm not going to go through each of the charts in this deck since this is actually a summary of the reading for this week, but I'll just touch on a few of them, okay? So, one of the reasons I want to review just quickly, we talked about it before break. Why are we using MarketShare? If you recall, MarketShare is a case analysis, similar to what you did prior to the break. Except prior to the break, the cases that we were using typically were historical cases. If you remember, the cases from your custom course pack are cases that have occurred in the past, and we ask you to put yourself in the decision maker's shoes and to imagine how you would use the information that was provided in the case to make a decision or recommendation based on the challenges or opportunities that were evident from the case, right? So MarketShare simulation is similar in that you'll be taking information, deciding what information is relevant, and using that information to glean insights to then inform your decisions or recommendations. But the difference about MarketShare is that you'll be working more real time, right? You'll have an opportunity to do your analysis, then make decisions, input those decisions, and immediately see the results of those decisions, okay? And actually what we'll be doing in the MarketShare simulation, it's an opportunity for you to apply some of the basic concepts and principles in marketing that you've studied in a real, quote-unquote real, simulated setting, okay? So you'll have a chance to apply concepts related to product design, pricing strategy, place, distribution, or channel strategy, and advertising and promotional strategies. And if you recall, I'm sure that looks familiar, that is simply the marketing mix or 4P framework that most of you are familiar with, okay? The first section of your MarketShare manual provides you with a review and an overview of what is marketing. So just take a look at that, and again, I'm sure this is concepts that most of you are familiar with, but it provides a really good review. The other thing that I want you to note, before we took our break, if you'll recall, we read an article in our custom course pack entitled Note on Marketing Strategy. It's a fairly lengthy article, And one of the things that I had pointed out was early in the article is a schematic, a 5C framework. And I said that you might find that framework a very useful tool to use in organizing and analyzing all of the information that was available in the case to help you move forward to make a decision. So review that schematic. I have recreated that here, but again, that is in the note on marketing strategy, which is in the back of the custom course pack, okay? If you recall, the 5C framework, the 5Cs are customers, company, competition, collaborators, and context. This provides a great starting point to figure out how do I organize all of the information that's available in the case to help you make sense of it. Remember how we talked about our use of the SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 Forces frameworks? That these were tools that, similar to statistics, help us take a lot of information and kind of put it in a form that makes it useful for us so that we can begin to see patterns, glean insights, and use this information then to inform our decisions. We'll be doing the same type of thing with this 5C framework in the MarketShare simulation. So this first step, which your MarketShare student manual talks about in terms of analyzing information, I think you'll find the 5C framework very helpful to do that. And then the second step of the marketing planning process that MarketShare simulation will focus on is actually making decisions. And here you'll see a familiar framework, the 4P framework: product, price, place, and promotion. These are actually the primary decisions that you'll be making in MarketShare. But in order to make those decisions, you need to have an understanding of the situation that you're facing, have defined your own plan, what it is that you hope to achieve, and it is then and only then that you'll be able to specify the specific steps that you need to take to put your plan in action, okay? So review the note on marketing strategy, paying particular attention to the schematic, the 5C framework, because I think you'll find this useful as you begin to analyze the situation that you're facing in the MarketShare simulation, develop your plan, and make decisions about the specific tactical activities that you will employ to successfully implement your marketing plan, okay? Your MarketShare manual also reviews 3 key concepts. They use an interesting example, I believe, with water. But take a look at that. Again, that's just a review of some of the basic concepts in marketing, in case you've forgotten, but I think you'll find it an interesting example. And as it points out, I think it'll help illustrate the importance of really understanding target market, customer needs, and how that relates to what it is you are attempting to market as you focus on satisfying a customer need. So anyway, that's from your MarketShare manual. Take a look at that. And again, I mentioned earlier the 2 steps in the process where we will use the 5C framework. One, to analyze the situation. Remember, I just said that we can use the 5 Cs to help us analyze the situation. And then choosing a course of action. And in the case of the simulation, that course of action will be decisions related to your product, your price, your place, and your promotion. But you need to know what it is you hope to accomplish, your objectives, what market segment you're serving, or segments, what target markets you're serving, in order to make decisions about your 4 Ps. So again, the market planning process, exploring marketing, described in your MarketShare manual, provides an overview of this process. And then here in the next few charts, I've just broken down I'm using this 5C framework. Here's just an illustration, and again, you'll see something very similar in your MarketShare manual. Just an illustration of how we can apply the 5C framework to analyze the situation that you're facing as you begin to launch the MarketShare simulation. So as you see here, each of the 5 Cs. Here's some of the key questions or key information that you have in the simulation, or key questions that you might ask to think about the questions or information that you might need, okay? So this is just, these next charts are just an illustration of how you can use the 5C framework to begin to analyze the situation that you're facing in MarketShare, okay? And then this, you'll also recognize, is from the bottom portion of that 5C framework schematic from the note on marketing strategy, where we choose and select a target market, and then we make decisions in the simulation, and those decisions again will be related to the elements of our marketing mix, those 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. Okay? Toward the end of the first section of your market share manual, they provide a good overview of what types of activities you'll be engaged in the simulation. I've presented that again here, but take a look at this information because this again will give you a good sense of what you'll be doing in the market share simulation. Again, what we'll be focused on is the same process that we engage in with the case analysis prior to the holiday. Right? Taking information, determining what information is relevant, and using that information to help inform your plan, defining what your objectives are, and determining how do you use that information to drive your tactical activities that are in support of your strategy. Okay? And then finally, your market share manual does suggest that if you're working in groups, which we will be, that here's some questions that you and your team members should discuss in or prior to your first meeting. So one of the things you want to define as a group is when, where, and how you will meet, and how you will conduct your meetings. What do you need team members to have prepared prior to your meetings? How often do you meet? I think it's also very important to discuss how, and if you will divide the task among yourselves, how you will do that. Will you assign people specific functional responsibility, or will everyone be responsible for a broad range of tasks? And again, be very clear and specific about what that will entail. You should also define for your team what you mean by contribution, and more specifically, high quality contribution. And again, it's important to be very specific. Doing so now will help you avoid any issues later. But it's also important to be clear when someone says, I expected that you would provide a good written document. What does good mean, right? And making sure that we all are on the same page. So that's one of the issues that you and your team members should discuss. And then finally, you should also discuss how, as a team, you will deal with any conflicts that might arise among team members, okay? Again, it is far easier to handle and manage those types of conflicts if you specify very clearly up front the rules of engagement for your team, okay? So this is simply a review of the information, or again, the readings that were assigned for this week. Make sure that you read the market share case, read Exploring Marketing from the Market Share Manual, which will give you an overview of of marketing concepts. Complete the market share quiz online at Interpretive site, and then come to class prepared to discuss the market share case prep questions, which are posted on Blackboard. Thanks.